This is Meteo Mundo.
And we are live. Hello, everyone. Meteo Mundo Chief Meteorologist Rusty McCraney with you here on this Friday afternoon. I hope you are having a very nice Friday ahead. A lot to talk about here. And, look, I was going to record a video anyway, and I said, why not just go ahead and go live, and then that way we can talk about everything we want to. We'll treat this kind of as the Friday and the weekend forecast video as well. I tell you, here's the reason why I'm doing this. For 25 years, I was a television meteorologist, and regardless of whether it was sunny and dry or whether we had a massive storm system coming in, I had like three and a half minutes to talk about the weather. You can throw that out the window here in YouTube, and I want to take advantage of that. The opportunity to come on here and talk as long as we need to about the situation across the Bahamas and the Caribbean, and also the fact of this interaction that we can have. Obviously, you guys are joining us here on the live chat, and we can interact. You can ask questions, we can talk back and forth, and I love that aspect about the digital platform as well. So thank you so much for tuning in as well. Even if you're watching the repeat of this broadcast sometime later on this Friday over the weekend, obviously we're going to break down some big significant issues here, especially for the Bahamas. That really is the big story here. We have our area of low pressure getting going in the Gulf of Mexico. We're already seeing some very breezy conditions through the Bahamas, but tropical storm-like conditions are possible or even likely across the Bahamas as we get into our Saturday night, and even through early on Sunday. Of course, we'll talk about the rest of the Caribbean forecast as well, and we'll break down some of the chances for rain. And again, you have some specific questions, drop in the comments section below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in right now. And again, I don't expect this to be maybe extremely highly watched live, but the fact that I was going to do a forecast video anyway just made sense to come on here and kind of do this in a live format. Again, if you want to pop on and ask a question, you can certainly do that as well. So let's break down what's happening at this time. I'm going to go over to the visible satellite imagery here, and we're going to get a nice clear-cut look on this Friday afternoon about what's happening with this area of low pressure. Again, it is still just a really big area of moisture, but we're starting to see those subtle changes in the clouds. And again, I mentioned in the video yesterday how we're seeing clouds moving in different directions. It really is just the beginning of the signs of an area of low pressure developing here. You can kind of see that. If you just look again, we have some low-level clouds moving in different directions, the mid-level clouds and the upper-level clouds. And for this time of the year, this is going to be a very strong area of low pressure. It's going to be a very deep low. It's going to bring a lot of rain and wind to a large area, and the potential for some severe weather through portions of the Florida Peninsula, and then eventually over towards especially the Northwest Bahamas as we get into our Saturday. I can tell you right now, it's a very cloudy, it's a very breezy day in Florida. Let's look at what's happening right now currently in the Bahamas. So let me switch over here to our Bahamas satellite imagery. And the first thing I want to do is we'll turn on some of the live reporting stations. These are your current temperatures right now. So we have some clouds, and we do have some rain, and I'll show you the live radar coming up in just a second. Currently it's 72 degrees in Freeport, around 70 in Nassau, and temperatures aren't really going to budge the remainder of the day. It is also extremely windy. These are your wind gusts in just the last few hours across the eastern portions of Florida and then the Northwest Bahamas. A 32 mile an hour wind gust in Nassau, a 37 mile an hour wind gust in Freeport. So we're teetering already on tropical storm force gusts, not sustained, but you can see that as we get back towards Florida, we've had some wind gusts right around 40 miles an hour. So very significant. And again, this is well ahead of the actual system coming in. And I mentioned this in the last couple of videos as well, that the biggest thing for the Bahamas is this prolonged wind event that we are going to see. It is going to be quite breezy throughout, especially the Northwest Bahamas, but even the Central Bahamas, at least through Monday. And you can even see in the Central Bahamas, they are already picking up some 30 and 35 mile per hour winds. So this is going to be a massive area of wind and rain, and already ahead of it again, 30, 35, even close to 40 mile an hour winds. And those winds are not going to change over the weekend. I want to keep reiterating that because again, it's a big story. First of all, it's going to kick up the sea conditions. There's a gale warning in effect for the Northwest Bahamas, and we'll take a look at all that coming up as well. It's also going to lead to some tidal surges, right, when you have this kind of wind on high tide, and we'll look at the high tide cycles across the Northwest Bahamas as well. And this is going to bring about some significant rain. So a lot of factors going into this. And again, it's not going to get a name. We're not going to have vents. I mean, there's a 0.1% chance, but it is a low that, if this were August, would very much be reminiscent of a tropical storm. Let's take a look at the radar here across the northern Bahamas, and you can already see a flare-up of these showers. The first thing I want you to notice is that some of the rain down towards the Keys and the southern side of Miami is moving from east to west. Other showers are moving from west to east, and there is a weak frontal boundary that is basically draped right over this area. When I put on these fronts, again, it's kind of a rudimentary line, but you get the idea that there is a pseudo stationary boundary basically right over New Providence and Andros and Eleuthera, and the showers are developing north of that, but there's this twist in the atmosphere and we're getting rain that's moving in completely different directions. And so again, it's a sign that, ahead of this thing, we've got a little bit of juice to work with here. So again, right now, and this is your live radar, showers are beginning to redevelop from Walker's Key back towards Weston and Freeport and Lucaya. And again, these aren't going to be heavy showers for Freeport and Lucaya towards West End, but it's going to be cloudy, it's going to be breezy, and it really is a preview of what I expect for the weekend at best. I mean, again, the rain is going to pick up, it's going to be heavier at times, the winds are going to get even more blustery outside, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the worst day for the Bahamas weather-wise here and across Florida as well. And it does come with the opportunity for some severe weather as well. For my friends in the Abaco area, Bimini, Grand Bahama, Walker's Key, water spouts are a possibility along with this. Again, gale warnings in effect. Small craft are absolutely urged to stay in port during the duration of this storm system. And even again, breezy conditions through Monday. And then you get a little bit farther off towards the south for us here. And again, the biggest story there will be some wind and rain, but that gradient cuts off. And as you get as far south as the Turks and the Caicos, again, not nearly as concerned with some of the heavier shower activity. So that's kind of like the broad brush of what's happening through the area right now. I can also mention that there will be a severe threat. And again, this is an outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. In the United States, we have the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The National Hurricane Center is a branch of that. The Storm Prediction Center is a branch of that. And they issue basically outlooks for severe weather. And for the southern sides of Florida here, central southern sides, there's at least the risk for some severe storms, including an isolated tornado. I show you this because you can see that basically if we were to translate this out due east, it would encompass the northwest Bahamas. So again, as these storms move across the peninsula and into the northwest Bahamas, as they come back offshore, there will be an opportunity for some rotation. The instability is going to be there. Again, we will be on the warm side of this storm system with the area of low pressure pushing to the north, so more instability, more heavy rain as possible there. But this comes along with a lot of different factors, and a severe weather threat is possible with that. More widespread is going to be the heavy rain, the isolated flooding threat of low-lying areas, and the extremely gusty winds. Okay, so let's talk about those winds as a matter of fact. We're going to go over to this wind vector product, which I really enjoy. And I'm going to put this into motion here, and we'll take a quick look at kind of how these winds are going to be playing out. Now, again, the winds are very fresh already. We mentioned, if you're just tuning in, that we already have 30 and 40 mile an hour wind gusts in the northwest Bahamas. This low, and this is the GFS model. We'll take a look at the NAM model as well, but you can see this low will begin to track up towards the Tampa Bay area and the Big Bend of Florida as we get into our late Saturday and then Sunday. So again, today is the 15th. We'll start to see that low begin to wrap up as we go overnight into Saturday, and then Saturday late night and into early Sunday, that low pulls through with the severe weather threat for portions of Florida. And then you can see the winds are going to be quickly changing. First of all, again, ahead of this, right now, we have mainly what's going to be an easterly breeze. All right. Maybe near the Florida coastline, it's more kind of west going offshore with those showers, but we'll swing the winds out of the south and east, and these white arrows indicate winds that are gusting more than 30 knots. And that is a good portion of the northwest Bahamas or close to it. The winds will then turn out of the southwest and eventually west behind the actual system. So it's almost a complete 360 of the winds. We'll go from east to southeast to west to southwest and eventually northwest here as we get into our early part of the week. But what is not going to change is the strength of these winds. Extremely, extremely strong winds. So I'm going to switch over here to, we'll look at the text vectors. So again, it might be a little bit hard to see, But, and I'll try and make the size even a little bit bigger here. Let's see here. I'm not even, well, let's see. If I make the spacing a little bit wider, then I can probably make them a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. So you get the idea here. And again, the numbers are going to be just kind of a gridded forecast of these winds. But just to show you again that you get to the whites and you're over 30 knots, you're in the pinks, you're 20 to 25, even up to 30 knots as well. And again, we'll start out today. We'll go to tomorrow. And then eventually, as we get into our late Saturday and Sunday, again, these are southeast winds, so the arrow is pushing where the wind is going towards. And these are southeast winds across the entire area, like Freeport, Lucaya, Marsh Harbor, and Dunmore Town, and Nassau, on over towards Andros Town, that are going to be gusting 30 to 35 knots. All right, so again, you know, seas are going to be 10 to 15 feet. That's a huge story. Don't want to be dealing with it, especially in offshore waters. I expect long period easterly swells to come along for the ride. And the winds will be fairly gusty, even though there won't be as much rain down into the southern Bahamas and portions of the Turks and Caicos. Again, you're looking at wind gusts there in the 20 to 25 knot range. Now, for my friends in the Northwest Caribbean, there's a story to tell here as well. We'll talk about the rain chances for places like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands as well. You'll start to kind of pick up a south wind here. And again, it won't be as strong, but like, let's say for the Kingston area here, again, these are mainly east winds right now, which have been fairly fresh. And from some of your comments, you guys have gotten some decent downpours in portions of Jamaica here the last couple of days. And then they'll swing out of the south and then eventually turn back out of the west as well. But still fairly breezy conditions. And again, this is just a massive area of low pressure here that's going to provide a ton of wind and rain for this time of the year. So again, that's kind of what the wind outlook looks like here over the next 5 days. And I'll just let this go into motion, and you can clearly see kind of what that wind is going to be doing here. So we'll let it go one more time. There's that low developing, moving through the west coast of Florida. Then it actually even gets stronger as it gets into the western Atlantic. The pressure will actually drop as it rides up the eastern coastline. And if it were colder in the United States, we might be talking about some kind of coastal nor'easter, but it's been exceptionally warm, relatively speaking, and that does not look to be a big factor for us, at least right now. Okay, let's see, wrong button, that's okay. Let's go back over here. And we're going to take a look at the rain associated with it. So we've kind of delved into the wind aspect of the Bahamas. Let's talk about the rain. Well, let's put this into motion, and we're going to see how this plays out. I'm going to grab a drink of water. And again, you know, I'm treating this as kind of like a live forecast video. But if you do have a question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. I'm happy to kind of certainly break that down for you. I've got some graphics we'll look ahead to as well. Quick sip of water, and we'll move on. All right. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Vitamin Water. I'd love to be, though. So let's take a look at this. All right. So again, at this point in time, this is just a huge shield of rain and a massive area of rain. We're talking about an area here. And look, I love to do this stuff because I can. So let's bring on my spatial tool here. What do you say we take a look at how broad this large path of rain is? 450 miles. So 450 miles wide. Let's see here if I can do another one. Yes, I can. And then what? I don't know, 380 miles from north to south. And really, and I just did the heavy rain. You could extend this out even farther. It's a big shield of rain, guys. And again, I saw some comparisons to the no-name storm of 1993, March 1993. I can tell you firsthand about that storm. Growing up on the west coast of Florida, my home was flooded out. I don't know if there's that big of a comparison. I got to be honest. I don't think this system is going to be as strong as that. There's been some tidal surges. I've seen some pictures where portions of Tampa Bay, the water has been out, but it's a deep area of low pressure for this time of the year. There's just simply no doubt about it. And it's going to have some consequences that will go along for the ride as well. All right, let me turn off the spatial tool, and then we'll take a look at this again, kind of stair step it. So it is going to be a big weather maker. And again, plans in the Bahamas are going to be basically on the wayside here for a while. at least through, I would say, late on Sunday. Now, again, we'll start to see the rain enter the peninsula of Florida really in earnest tomorrow with the severe weather potential Saturday night and into Sunday, especially for the central and the southern sides of that state. And then for our friends here in the Bahamas, let's get into the forecast. Here's kind of how I see this playing out. Breezy with passing showers today. Then for tomorrow, it'll be about the same until the afternoon. That's when we'll start to see the first real area of rain move in that's going to set in. It's going to be heavier in nature. It's going to be more constant in nature, and it's going to be prolonged enough to at least provide an isolated flood threat for portions of the Northwest Bahamas. Let me get Nassau here a little bit clearer into the picture. Let me just take myself off camera because you know I can do that as well. Again, so let's do that. And it's a nice clear picture here because this is the biggest part of the story, I think, to go along with the wind is the rain. So again, you're looking at tomorrow at around 5 p.m. That moderate to heavy rain begins to set in, and then it just pushes across the Northwest Bahamas through our late Saturday evening into early on Sunday. Still some heavier rain left over, at least in portions of the Northwest and Central Bahamas through mid-morning on Sunday, but there should be relatively rapid clearing. There's a fairly sharp line of drier air coming in behind this, which should kick out the rain relatively quick. That is good news. We could still see 2 to 4 inches of rain with isolated higher amounts, but if this was even a slower system, not as progressive, and the models had that earlier where they were painting around 8 inches of rain, luckily at least the rainfall totals have come down a little bit, but still enough falling in a short enough amount of time to cause some problems. Then you factor in the strong winds, the high tide cycles, and that'll be another kind of scenario that we have to deal with as well. But you can clearly see the rain getting out of the Bahamas here as we get into Sunday afternoon, and then especially even in our southern eastern sides and the Turks and Caicos by the time we get into our Monday. But again, tomorrow, weather goes downhill in a hurry. Again, very breezy and just kind of spotty wind-driven showers today through early tomorrow. And then on our Saturday, again, all the way down towards Georgetown and Clarencetown and Exuma, Arthurstown there up towards Eleuthera and Abaco and Andros and New Providence and Bimini and Grand Bahama and Walker's Key. All my friends in these areas, again, just got to take this very, very seriously here. With a southeast wind, the eastern shorelines could pack on some water as well, because that, again, is going to be an east to southeast wind at around 25 to 35 knots. All right. Charles is asking again here, the winds and the rainfall in Nassau. And again, Charles, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. That's exactly what we're discussing right now. So thank you for that question. The first thing I wanted to do was kind of show you the timeline of the rain, and then we'll take a look at the rainfall totals. And if you're just tuning in right now, again, this is going to be 25 to 35 knot winds through the Northwest Bahamas, at least through Sunday afternoon, but certainly, already picking up now, tomorrow and early on Sunday. Those are going to be kind of the maximums. Let's take a look at that total precipitation that Charles asked for. And I can go out, we'll go out just to the end of the storm here. So let's see here. This is going to be Sunday at 7. What do you say we go just a little bit further out in time? Not much. How about Monday morning? All right. So again, one decent piece of news is that now that the system's going to be a little bit faster with bringing in the drier air, the rainfall totals have come down a little bit. But for my friends in Grand Bahama, West End, 2.5 inches of rain. Same thing for Freeport, High Rock around 2, Walker's Key 2.5. Now again, these are going to be averages. I'm going more in that 2 to 4 inch rainfall total with some locally higher amounts. We'll see how it plays out, but it's good to see that the models have come down a little bit more. Now you get towards Dunmore Town there on the northern side of Eleuthera, it's painting on 3. Marsh Harbor there in Abaco right around 2. For Andros, 1.5 to 2. For Nassau, here's your answer there, my friends in New Providence, 2.3, 2.5. But again, kind of looking at the model averages, 2 to 3. Maybe locally higher. I've gone up as high as 4 to 6, but I hope that that's going to be only in the extremes. I really do. So a few inches of rain overall. You can see that there's some maximums even just off of the shoreline here, off the eastern side of the Bahamas, 4 to 5 inches, and it does again become a fairly sharp gradient of the rain dying down the southeast Bahamas and then eventually into the Turks and Caicos as well. There's going to be a lot of wind-driven showers, but as far as accumulations, they're just not going to add up to much. Again, everyone is going to see a lot of wind, and the rainfall totals, again, are going to be significant. Now, you get back into the Gulf of Mexico where this low is developing, and as I mentioned, you have some areas that, again, falling in the open waters, but about a foot of rain. It just shows you how much moisture is coming along with the ride. I mean, again, this is very moisture-laden air for December that'll be riding right up through the path. And again, that low right now is kind of projected to move through the Big Bend of Florida and then basically along the east coast of the United States. So we stay in the warm sector instability side for the Bahamas, which leads to at least some thunderstorm threat, isolated severe weather threat, mainly in the form of waterspouts. But it does keep that swath of heaviest rain to our north and west. So that is some good news. But again, enough rain where I think it's going to cause some problems. So Charles, I certainly hope that helped your answer. Raining here in Nassau, very strong winds in progress. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I can real quickly, and I'll show a few more graphics here about what's happening in the Bahamas. Let me get back to the Bahamas radar. This is a live radar, by the way. This is live right now as we are on the air here, a little after 1 p.m. Eastern time in Florida, in the United States, and you can see that the rain is beginning to pick up a little bit right over Grand Bahama from High Rock to Freeport and Weston, really beginning to flare back up here. You get back down towards Nassau, it is a little bit more spotty, but we've had some showers develop there, and this is all going to be wind-driven rain here over the next, let's say 12 to 18 hours before that shield of rain comes in as we get into our Saturday afternoon. Now, as far as the winds go, again, we'll switch back over here and I can go ahead and put right back on. These are your temperatures, which are in the lower 70s, and they're not going to be budging. And then we can put on our wind gusts. And you can see the wind gusts here over the last several hours include a 32-mile-an-hour wind gust in Nassau and a 37-mile-an-hour wind gust in Freeport. Winds have been gusting to around 40 miles an hour on the southeast coastline of Florida, and even a nice little 35, 36-mile-an-hour wind gust here south and east into the central Bahamas. So again, gusty winds even before this main system has even pulled on shore. So let me take a real quick sip of water again, and then I want to talk about a few specifics with the Bahamas forecast. Okay, so made a couple of graphics. Hopefully this switches properly. It does not. So I'm going to take myself off camera, and then I'm going to move on over here, and I can manually do it. It's absolutely no big deal. So let's take a look at what's going to be happening here with the Northwest and the Central Bahamas impacts. So again, there's a gale warning in effect right now for the Northwest Bahamas. A gale watch in effect for the Central Bahamas could be upgraded to a warning. We'll see how it goes. Right now, winds are going to be northeast. They'll swing to the southeast tomorrow, 25 to 35 knots. Seas are going to be building to 10 to 15 feet. Small craft are absolutely urged to remain in port during the duration of this storm system pulling through. It may not be until Monday that small craft might be able to get out, and it's still going to be breezy then. I expect some long period northeast swells, especially in the open waters. Rainfall potential, widespread, 2 to 4 inches of rain in the Northwest Bahamas, maximum of 4 to 6. Again, I think that's going to be very localized and very isolated in nature, but I can't rule out a couple of spots getting close to 6 inches of rain. But the general, I think, rule would be more of around the 2 to 4 inch variety. So for the marine forecast for the Bahamas for today and Saturday, northeast and east winds today, 25 to 30 knots. They'll be southeast tomorrow at 25 to 35 knots. Seas both days at around 10 to 15 feet, especially in the exposed waters of the Atlantic. A gale warning, again, will continue through the duration of the storm system here for us as well. Now, the other story with this, I'll take myself off camera because this is a full screen graphic, are our tidal situations. So these are the tides in Grand Bahama for tomorrow, okay? For both Freeport Harbor and Settlement Point. You're going to have a low tide in the wee hours of our Saturday morning. Will then come up on a high tide at around 10 a.m. Now again, what you're looking at here is the normal tidal ranges, right? Next to where the tide time is going to be. But obviously these tides will be heightened by the wind that we are going to be seeing. So the areas or the times of concern would be mid-morning tomorrow for Grand Bahama. We'll hit a low tide again in the late afternoon hours. And then, and unfortunately, right as that storm system is coming in with some of the strongest winds on Saturday night, we're going to have another high tide cycle then at around 10:30 p.m. in both areas. So for Grand Bahama, your high tides, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. tomorrow. Those are going to be some areas that I would be very concerned about for additional tidal flooding in some of the low-lying areas that go along with it. So keep that in mind, my friends, in Grand Bahama for your tide cycle. Okay, back to the forecast for us here. Again, I'm kind of treating this live video as our forecast video for Friday and then for the weekend as well. So I've mentioned a lot about the Bahamas for very, very good reason. Let's talk about the rest of the forecast through the Caribbean and other areas as well. So let's start off with, first of all, what's happening right now. Let me drop this down so we don't lose those frames anymore. Let's see here. Oh, those decide to come back on. All right, I can take those back off. It's relatively more quiet for the Caribbean and then for portions of Central America and Cancun. We are going to get some rain, and I had my friend Raul posted in our comment section that they've had some good downpours on the northern sides of Puerto Rico. That is an area that I do expect some additional showers this weekend, other portions of the Lesser Antilles and the Virgin Islands, and then again, Northwest Caribbean, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. They'll actually get a little bit of moisture from that low developing in the south wind to help to aid their rain chances. So that's what it kind of looks like right now. Let's go over to the water vapor imagery, and you can see what's happening. There's a swath of drier air in the central Caribbean, bounded by two areas of more moisture. One is going to be over the areas that I just mentioned that will have an opportunity for some showers, including the Lesser Antilles. Not a lot of rain expected for Hispaniola. The air is going to moisten up a bit as we get into the weekend for Jamaica, which will spell those shower chances. And again, you can see that moisture really getting going. And it's very clear to see here on this water vapor imagery, we're kind of beginning to see that first area, that first development of that kink for the area of low pressure, the drier air wrapping in behind it as well. Let me actually take off the radar here. Knock that off real fast as well. Okay, so that's what it looks like here, the upper levels of the atmosphere. At the low levels of the atmosphere, just a ton of moisture. I mean, again, it's going to be a very wet storm for Florida, the Southeast, and the Bahamas, but even some of that is trickling into the Northwest Caribbean, which is why rain chances in the Cayman Islands and Jamaica are going to be going back up. So with that in mind, what do you say we take a look at that rain? So back over to our model. And I'll put this into motion again. So let's talk about the Northwest Bahamas first here, or excuse me, the Northwest Caribbean first. I've been saying the Bahamas so much, it's just on my mind. All right, so we'll let this loop out, come back around. So for today, for my friends in Kingston and Montego Bay and Negril, in Maypen and Portmore and Spanish Town, spotty showers in the forecast, a little bit better chance for some rain in the Cayman Islands. Then you can see that moisture moving over Cuba, right, as the storm system comes in. So this is tomorrow. This is going to be your best chance for some rain as that begins to feed off towards the east as we get into late Saturday and on Sunday. We're going to get some showers coming in. I mean, it's not going to be an all-day rain, and maybe not everyone will get it, but a good opportunity for some showers here, and maybe you really want that rain. Certainly will help out the temperatures and the humidity a bit in the afternoon hours. So late Saturday, late tomorrow, and into Sunday, that's our best chance for showers in this area. Still the opportunity, though, for some rain. You can see future track painting on even a little bit more rain for Tuesday there. So I'm more optimistic for Jamaica to get some showers out of this, just a little bit more moisture-laden air coming back into the forecast through Wednesday as well. So what I would say is you do have a chance each of the next 5 days to get a shower in your area. Maybe you only get them 2 or 3 days, but it's a better chance than what we've had overall. I know that some of you have said you've had some rain lately. That's good news. But again, I'll just let this roll into motion here over the next 5 days. We see a lot more green on the map. And again, that is in part to that area of low pressure to your north. That's just pulling in more moisture into your area here. We get that sometimes this time of the year. It's a little bit more rare, obviously being December, but we'll take what we can get. Now, I mentioned I don't expect a lot of rain for Hispaniola. One area that we might see a little bit more rain is going to be on the northeast sides of the Dominican Republic, and then a few showers later in the week for places like Santo Domingo and even towards Port-au-Prince and Lacaille. We could have some showers there. You can see some of that rain moving in. And again, this would be more like Tuesday, Wednesday, with a relatively dry forecast for the weekend. For Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands here, again, opportunity for some scattered rain. Now, again, already mentioned in the comments how they've had some showers and storms earlier today, and that will continue. You can see this on the future track model here for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, some decent rain chances. You can see that moving in. This is going to be tomorrow afternoon. That's a good shot for some showers and some thunderstorms there. Certainly the opportunity to even get some lightning out of this. So again, showers and isolated storms go along with it. It'll be slightly drier on Sunday, but still a chance for some rain. And then Monday and Tuesday, I think we do begin to dry out again. But a decent chance here over the next 2 days for my friends in Puerto Rico, including San Juan and Ponce, Arecibo, then over towards St. John, St. Thomas, St. Croix, Road Town there in the British Virgin Islands. Let's say hi to our friends in the Lesser Antilles, Anguilla, St. Martin, Ceiba, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbuda, Antigua, Montserrat, St. Bartholomew, Guadalupe, Dominica. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Again, spotty rain for you guys here over the next couple of days. Just like Puerto Rico, you're going to have a slightly better chance, although not as high of a chance, between now and Sunday, but not completely dry as well. Again, kind of an east wind will favor a little bit heavier rain on the eastern side of the islands, but overall, some spotty showers will continue there. Now, it's a little bit more concentrated because the model's trying to actually lift up a little bit of rain from the south, from Martinique to St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines south, including Barbados. Take a look at Barbados. Let's take a look at that. Nice little shower on the model coming your way early tomorrow morning. How about that? So you might have some showers later today that could be translated to some heavier downpours, and then that'll move up towards the north and then kind of fade out as it does so. But again, just a little bit more moisture down in this area to play with. It gives us a better opportunity for some more rain. It's not a guarantee by any means, but it just gives us a little bit higher chance. And we'll take a look at what's going on across Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada as well. And again, spotty showers. Isolated overall, a little bit better chance maybe today and early tomorrow, and then again later in the week here. If I pause this here as we get out towards our Wednesday, our Tuesday into our Wednesday, you can see there's a little bit more rain down towards Trinidad and Tobago. So again, we're certainly not in the dry season yet. We're transitioning. It can sometimes be a very slow transition, but there will be some showers in the forecast here over the next 5 days. Again, you might only get rain a day or two of the next 5 days, but it's not a completely dry forecast as well. So again, not one where we're like, all right, we've shut it off. We've shut off the faucet. We haven't shut off the faucet yet. There's still that opportunity for some showers there. And then for the ABC Islands, my friends in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, throw this into motion over the next 5 days as well. And again, it's even a little bit more isolated there. Many dry hours and locations for the ABC Islands here. Again, quite nice. As a matter of fact, I'm always curious here. Let's take a look at something real fast. Let me swing back over to the satellite imagery. And then let's go over to our temperatures. There we go. Just curious, right? Not that curious. I don't want to get in that close. But can you see, first of all, where it's rained? Look at San Juan. They're down to 75 degrees right now. Nice little shower there. Some of you might call that cold. I've had people in the comments section say, Rusty, it's 80 degrees. It's very cold outside right now. Well, it's a little bit chillier there. And you can see even towards St. Thomas, they're sitting at 75, Road Town 79. So we do have some 70s there. Again, these are live temperatures as of Friday afternoon. It's a little bit warmer, but a little bit steamy there in Dominica for sure. But the ABC Islands, I just wanted to mention this because it's been steamy there and it's going to stay that way. You can see these temperatures are pushing the upper 80s. And the humidity is coming along for the ride. That's not going to change. That's going to stay pretty sticky there. Jamaica, not as bad, especially on the northern side of the island. That's not bad. Montego Bay, 84. These are your temperatures looping over the last 6 hours, by the way, so they'll start in the mid-morning and get us into the early afternoon here. But again, mid-80s, right? Looks like we peaked in Kingston and dropped back down, maybe because there's a nice little shower there. Don't see much in the way of any clouds over that area, but there's a reason why the temperature dropped at least a little bit. Could have been a bit of a wind shift as well. And then again, you can just see that massive area of clouds moving through with what's happening with that storm system there. One other area I do want to talk about here is back into Central America. Don't want to leave you guys out. First of all, I'll start up in the Yucatan. Again, it's been pretty crummy weather overall for Cancun and Cozumel the last 5 days. It's been, if anything, cloudy, but they've had some good showers as well. Now, a general consensus would be that we're going to dry out a bit as this low pulls away. It's not going to be completely dry, but it'll be more sunshine and a little bit drier. Maybe you are trying to get to Cancun or Cozumel this weekend. We're looking a little bit better there if you have any of those vacation plans. As you get back down towards Nicaragua and Honduras and Belize and Guatemala, some scattered showers there developing off of the coastline, say Roatan, Belize City. You guys will have at least a spotty shower chance, but again, nothing extremely heavy there. And we'll just kind of follow this down where some of this rain will try and move inland a little bit, but it could be relatively dry for places like Tegucigalpa and Managua, and then Costa Rica. We start to pick up a little bit more rain towards San Jose and Panama City. There's a little bit of moisture even coming in from the Pacific to spell some showers in that area as well. So that's kind of the rain chance there. We'll take a look now at the total precipitation in this area, and we'll switch over to that. And again, go back out over the next 5 days. So let's see here. By the way, if you are viewing us, you can always help us out by liking the video as well. This gets YouTube to suggest it to more people, so appreciate that. And again, what's going to end up happening is this will be archived, and then I'm going to make a separate quick video, let everyone know that this video is the Friday forecast video as well. But again, I just enjoy being able to come on here and break this down as long as I want to. And if you have questions to ask, this is what this digital platform is all about. Now, I knew that this was not going to be a peak period of time. This is a Friday afternoon, everyone is watching, but I like to mix things up a bit, to be quite honest. There's no reason just to simply do forecast videos and, A, B, and C. I like to change things up a bit as well. So when we're looking at the rain chances and the rain totals in the Lesser Antilles, again, you are looking at where, again, the model is painting on a little maximum. I would love to hear from my friends in Barbados, and we have a lot of subscribers from Barbados, what kind of rain you see over the next few days. The model is saying that you could get some heavier downpours, more than 2 inches of rain in that area. Let me know if that really plays out, because generally speaking, that's more of an isolated maximum than kind of a more widespread standard. Again, maybe 2 inches towards St. Lucia, but it dries out relatively quickly here as you get up into the northern side of the Leeward Islands there, towards Barbuda and Anguilla as well. Again, we've had some heavier rain through portions of Puerto Rico. The model favors the eastern side for some heavier rain, but even towards San Juan. And again, downpours will lead to potentially some isolated urban flooding or some flooding of small streams. We've had some good downpours there, and some thunderstorm activity could go along with the ride as well. And this kind of activity will stick around for portions of the Virgin Islands. Relatively drier through the Dominican Republic, but there'll be some rain along the northeast coastline that could be quite significant, and then somewhat drier again over Haiti. And then for, again, the Jamaica area here, including my friends in Kingston and Port Antonio and Montego Bay, the opportunity, if we average this out, of more than an inch of rain here over the next few days. That's not bad rain. Again, I don't think it's going to be extremely, extremely heavy. It's certainly not the weather going to see to the north, but that opportunity is going to be there. All right, so let's go back over real quickly here, swing back over to our satellite imagery. Again, if you're just tuning in, I thank you very much for watching us here. I wanted to come on live because I really wanted to talk about what's going to be happening here, especially in the Bahamas over the next couple of days. And we've done that, so we're going to wrap this up here in just a minute. But again, for my friends who might be just tuning in live at this point in time, just to kind of go back over what's happening now, what's going to be happening quickly here in the future, winds are already on this Friday afternoon well ahead of that area of low pressure, which is just kind of beginning to crank up now. And the numbers that you see out in the open waters, that's buoy data. We have some buoys out there as well, and which is interesting. I didn't think I had turned those on. Sometimes these layers can play with my mind. But anyway, so we've got some buoy and some ship data as well. I have that opportunity to actually bring all of that data resources into our weather system. It's really cool. And you can see there off the coastline of Alabama, a little 46-mile-an-hour wind gust there. And now we're cranking up 40, 45-mile-an-hour winds in the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. It's a wind machine. It's a crazy wind machine for this time of the year. Tropical storm force winds are likely, especially along the coastline of the Gulf Coast, through the peninsula of Florida, and then into the northwest sides of the Bahamas. So again, just really wanted to make sure everyone's aware of this. These are the winds already gusting in excess of 35 miles an hour. They're going to get even stronger for tomorrow. It's not going to shock me if we get some 40 and 45 mile an hour wind gusts in places like Freeport and Nassau and Lucaya. Rain. This is your live radar. Again, can show you that as well. Cool thing. Take a look at it. This is the rain that's actually developing. You notice that the showers across the Keys are moving from east to west, but then our rain is coming back offshore, moving from west to east across the northwest Bahamas. There is a weak frontal boundary here. Okay, and we're already seeing a twist to some of that rain as well. But the biggest thing that's going to do is provide an area of enhanced lift. And as that storm system comes through, it's going to be very efficient at squeezing out all of this moisture-laden air. Again, the air is very, very saturated here. And you can see those showers. Again, the radars obviously aren't offshore, but the composite radar look here shows you some of that rain developing in southern Florida and the northwest Bahamas. And then one more look at the rain across the Bahamas as well. So again, we'll start off with the wide view. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to put this into motion right here, and we'll take a look at how this evolves. Again, for Florida, we will start to see some of that heavier rain move in throughout the day tomorrow with a severe weather potential late Saturday night and into Sunday. That shield of rain moves into the Bahamas, just slightly behind that, where we start to see in the Bahamas the heaviest rain moving in tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow evening, and then beginning to cut off fairly quickly on Sunday. So it's not the longest duration of the heaviest rain, but it gets still to add up to 2 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts. The winds are going to be out of control over the next several days. Again, they're out of the northeast to east right now, they'll be out of the southeast tomorrow at around 25 to 35 knots with some seas of around 10 to 15 feet. So again, we have this wind-driven rain, and then as we get into our Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, here comes your heavy rain. Here comes your heavy rain for the northwest Bahamas, central Bahamas as well. It'll be with us overnight through Sunday morning, and then there will be a fairly sharp gradient of drier air. So a pretty good drying line coming in behind this system, and you can see that moving through. Now, I've been showing you the GFS model. I'm absolutely happy real quick to show you the NAM model as well. So I want to show you that one real quickly here so we can get a comparison. I love to do this on the fly as well, and part of the reason why is the more information the better. So we can take a look at what the NAM model is painting on here, and this is actually the 3 kilometer very high resolution NAM model that we can look at here. Now it's going to take a second to pop on, and as it does so, I'm going to get a quick drink of water. But we'll take a look at what's going on. Hi Valentino, how you doing? You are more than welcome. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate, first of all, we have a lot of new subscribers in the Bahamas who have found us because of this situation. Again, we cover you guys here at Meteo Mundo. That's what we want to do. So thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing as well. That can really help us out. And then letting your family and friends know about us. Again, that's always a great way to help grow the channel as we get going here. So this NAM model is interesting. And I have not looked at this today. I looked at it yesterday, but again, this is an extremely high resolution model. Now, it doesn't go as far out here. It's more for the continental United States, which is why I don't show it when we're talking about Caribbean forecasting, but take myself off camera here because I'm going to probably lean into this. Look at that. Nice little tension, nice little donut right there. I mean, we're not going to get a true central area of low pressure, but you guys can easily see that counterclockwise spin here. I also... Does anyone know who John Madden is, right? The old football coach who on the NFL used to do the telestrations. I love him as well. So there it is. You can see that kink right there spinning up, right where my arrowhead is. There it goes. And then into the Big Bend of Florida. So really the NAM, the GFS, and the European are all in fairly good agreement on where that's going. Now the biggest question is, can I get this off? This is always an interesting thing. All right, there it goes. Thank goodness. All right. Now the other question is, it does draw again. See, I hate that. Because you have to do a couple things. You have to clear it, and then behind the scenes, I have to actually tell it I'm done. All right, now it shouldn't. There we go. All right. So, but again, let's take a look at this. So it's driving through. Look at that shield of heavy rain. There goes the low. And then we start to see a line of stronger storms on the southeast side. All right. So now let's look at what's going to be happening here in the northwest Bahamas. First of all, let's check the time frame. Let's see if it starts about the same time. And again, let's get this over a little bit farther there. All right. So, yeah, I mean, look, spottier wind-driven rain. Here it comes, especially into the evening hours of Saturday, and then even into Sunday morning. It's going to linger a little bit longer. So this is a little bit slower than the GFS and the Euro. All right, the NAM, the GFS tries to clear this out by like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. But this on Sunday, this is Sunday into the afternoon hours, and you can see very heavy rain still falling on the NAM. So we do have a bit of a disagreement with some of the models in regards to the timing of this. And we'll take a look at the HER model as well. But again, it'll eventually clear, but the NAM says it's going to be a little bit slower, and that is some heavy rain. And water spout activity could come along with that, with rotation in those storms. So that's the NAM model. Let's check out the HER. Again, have the opportunity to show you some of the higher resolution models. Let's do that. I'm gonna let that loop back into motion. And again, thanks for watching, guys. Actually very happy with the viewership count right now because it's the middle of the afternoon hours. And again, I'm treating this as kind of like your Friday forecast video, but we're just doing it live. So I'm gonna let everyone know that, we are going to, treat this as the forecast video, and people can pop back in and rewatch this here. It will be archived, if you will, on the Meteo Mundo channel, and I'm gonna let everyone know that as well. All right, so this is the high resolution rapid refresh. It's the HER model, we call it. Let's take a look at it. First of all, again, it's trying to pull in a little bit heavier rain from the east-southeast along that moisture axis. Again, we do have a weak front there. It's a very interesting scenario, and we've already had one of our friends, Charles from Nassau, mention some showers there. So it's interesting. I mean, this model says, hey, look, there's more rain coming along that frontal boundary, that weak area of basically stalled out front. Overnight, starting at 7, but really overnight and into tomorrow. And that, of course, is ahead of the main system. So if I zoom out, we take a look at what's going on with the main system here. You can see that begin to progress its way to the north and to the east as well. Again, we get that classic comma shape as we get deep into our Saturday night with a very heavy rain and severe threat for portions of Florida. And then it's all gangbusters for the Bahamas after that. So that is going to be 7 a.m. on Saturday. Now, unfortunately, this is as far out as this model goes. It's a very short duration, but high resolution model. But you get the idea that, again, the rain picks up a little bit later on this model, a little bit more in agreement with the NAM, and then starts to bring in some of that really heavy thunderstorm activity overnight and into Sunday morning. That would be a lot of heavy rain and a severe weather threat for those areas as well. Hi, Samuel. How you doing, buddy? Appreciate you as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for watching that. That's going to be some rough weather there. And again, this is a very high resolution model called the HER model. Nice little 48-hour model. It's actually, you can do 12 or even 24 hours depending on it. This is the 48-hour version, but you get the idea that that is going to be some very active weather. Again, we're on the warm sector here in the Northwest Bahamas, which means we have the opportunity for some nastier storms. So we have some more people watching right now. I want to do something real quickly before we go away. And again, even though this video is going to be archived, I do want to go back over some of the graphics that I made for the Bahamas in case you're just tuning in, because maybe you're tuning in because the weather has already been kind of crappy in your area and it's only going to get worse. So again, for the Northwest and Central Bahamas, there's a gale warning in effect for the Northwest Bahamas. Winds are going to be northeast today to the east and then eventually southeast tomorrow at 25 to 35 knots. Seas are building 10 to 15 feet, especially in the open waters of the Atlantic, the exposed waters. And we're going to have some long period northeast swells. Small craft are urged to remain in port during the duration of this storm. And more than likely, that means you're not getting back out until at least Monday, if not even on Tuesday. Rainfall potential, widespread 2 to 4 inches, locally 4 to 6. We'll see how it plays out here, but heavier areas, isolated amounts could be upwards of 4 inches. Obviously, there could be a threat to some low-lying areas as far as flooding goes, and tidal flooding as well. That's going to be a big story here. So for Grand Bahama Marine forecast for today, it's a northeast to east wind. Tomorrow, it's a southeast wind at 25 to 35 knots. Seas both days running around 10 to 15 feet in the double digits, even higher in the Gulf Stream. Gale warnings will continue again for the duration of the storm. And then as far as the tide cycles go, for Grand Bahama, for tomorrow, for your Saturday, for Freeport Harbor and settlement points. 4 tides, low tides in the wee hours of Saturday morning, a high tide at around 10 a.m. in both areas, another low tide at 4:40ish, and then a high tide again Saturday night. And it's that Saturday night tide I'm most concerned about right now, simply because that will also go in concurrence with the maximum of the storm system coming through and the winds that will go along with it. Again, we are talking about, 25 to 35 knot winds, locally higher. We're going to have some inundation of some low-lying areas to go along with that tidal flooding. So that is going to be an issue for us here that we have to keep a very close eye on. All right, friends, I think that's going to do it here. What do you say we just take one more quick look at the satellite imagery across the area? And again, keep you updated here at Meteo Mundo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching the live stream. Again, we'll archive this, and this will be the Friday forecast video for anyone tuning in later in the day, and we'll keep our eye out with everything going on across the Bahamas and the Caribbean as well. Thank you so much, friends. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll see you soon.